Some people have said that car reviewers tend to overuse the word quirky when it comes to French cars. Well, I for one would never do that. Just a little bit quirky, with a slightly quirky French design, interesting little design quirk, quirky French design, a little bit quirky. Welcome to Four Wheels in the Seat. My name is Alex Dalrymple and this is my channel where I review new cars every week. To make sure you don't miss one, hit the subscribe button down below. And if you enjoyed the video, give me a like as well. Normally I would be standing outside this car and talking about the outside of it, but the weather has thwarted my plans and it's actually the first time it's rained in a few weeks. I just got unlucky today. So thankfully Citroen have supplied me with plenty of B-roll to help illustrate how this car looks. So yes, this is the Citroen C5 Aircross, not to be confused with the Citroen C5X, which is a car that I reviewed about a month ago and is completely different to this one. It's a wagon, this is an SUV. The front of the C5 Aircross is unmistakably Citroen. It all kind of sits up high and we've got the big Citroen badge in the middle there and those two lines that run across the grille right into the light clusters, which I think is actually a pretty good look. Side on, and you can see that this car rides up reasonably high on its 19-inch diamond cut black alloy wheels. We've got roof rails up on top, and there's something about black plastic cladding that Citroen like to put on some of their cars, and there's a bit of a trace of that here on the bottom of the doors. I don't quite pretend to understand what that's about. The back looks nice and tidy, some attractive light clusters. Under the powered tailgate is a 580-litre boot. Up the front, there's a 1.6-litre four-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine that outputs 133 kilowatts of power and 250 newton meters of torque. Power is driven to the front wheels only via a 8-speed automatic transmission, and average fuel economy around the city comes in at a pretty good 5.7 litres per 100 kilometres. Inside, and we probably have what is the least unusual design in a French car that I've seen. It's actually fairly conventional. Nice mix of materials. We've got different types of plastic and some stitching up on top here. It is a little bit hard though. It's not exactly the softest I've ever touched, and it does get a bit scratchy just down the bottom there underneath the belt line. But it does feel really solid. It is put together in a really good way. The software on the center console screen, same as the C5X, so it is a bit different to pretty much any other software you've used before, most probably, but it is nice and clean, nice sharp graphics. There's wide Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I've been using the native navigation a little bit over the last week or so. Works really well, although weirdly you can pretty much zoom all the way out to sort of see half of planet Earth if you choose. I don't know how that's going to help you get across town, but good to know you can do it just in case. A key difference between this car and the C5X is the instrument cluster. The Aircross gets a full-size digital instrument cluster, not this weird tiny little thing that the C5X has. I much prefer this any day of the week. There's a few different preset display modes you can choose from. I like having the maps over on the side there and a big speedo in the middle and some trip information over there on the left, but you can play around with that as you like. The graphics are really sharp and it's just really clean and easy to look at things. It's a good setup. The steering wheel, a little bit different to the C5X. It's got a different shape down here on the bottom, but the overall shape of the wheel is similar in that we've got a flat top and a flat bottom, although it is a bit rounder than the C5X's wheel. It's a nice clean design. There's not a lot going on here, which is refreshing. Paddle shifters behind it, they're a pretty cool shape, and the adaptive cruise controls are on a separate stalk down here behind the wheel, which you can't really see, so you've got to kind of operate them by touch. The seats are leather and they are heated. There is also a massage function for the driver, which is excellent. Honestly, Citroen do seat massage better than pretty much anybody else. It's just one of their talents. The only issue I have with it though is that the actual length of the bottom cushion is a bit too short for me. So my legs are kind of just sticking up here a little bit uncomfortably. They don't feel very well supported, and just the whole seating position kind of feels like I'm sitting in a dining room chair that's been bolted to a car. It's a little bit odd. It's not uncomfortable, it's just odd. But with that seating position goes excellent visibility out the front. You can see right to the front of the bonnet really clearly. The wing mirrors are nice and big with blind spot monitors in them. Great vision through the rear vision mirror, and the panoramic sunroof keeps everything nice and light and bright. So there's a few different drive modes, Sport, Normal and Eco. I've been driving around in Sport all week actually, and since I'm not paying the fuel bill, I'm enjoying just that little added bit of performance, and it doesn't seem to hang on to the gears all that long because it's an 8-speed gearbox. It's got a few more to choose from, and it doesn't get overly loud or sort of, jerky by hanging on to an unnecessarily low gear. It does seem to make a bit of a genuine difference to performance. Normal is just fine though, and Eco kind of just dulls everything down as you'd expect to save a bit of extra fuel. So on a wet day like today, and it has not rained for a while, so the roads are actually pretty slick, I'm actually feeling really quite confident in this car. There's no wheel spin to speak of, and it just feels really well planted to the road. It's a very comfortable, safe feeling car to drive. Safety gear, of course, you get pretty much everything you need. You can see the list on the screen, it's pretty comprehensive. One other thing I've noticed is that the pedals on this car are a little bit closer together than usual. So it is easy to accidentally hit both accelerator and brake at the same time. Sound dampening, they've done a really good job with. You can hear the engine a little bit at higher revs, but it's not overly obtrusive, very little road noise. So yeah, it's a pretty quiet cabin. The Citroen C5 Aircross is a really good compact SUV. It does what it does really well. It's just a little bit unremarkable to drive, and it's also a bit on the expensive side, with stablemate Peugeot and rivals Audi having similarly spec'd cars, and they charge less money for it. French car fans will love it, but if you're shopping from the hip pocket, you might be tempted to look elsewhere.